the members of staff and others, consultants that are helping us, and members of the community that are here to assist us with our economic development creative thinking process. As I explained to a few earlier, we realized that our next meeting isn't until later on in July, so we had to add this in so that it'd be ready for Summerfest. So that's why there's a bit of a change in the agenda, and we don't think we'll see how long it'll take, but it'll be up to council. So it has been moved by Councillor Kersey, seconded by Councillor Rybak, that the agenda for the June 24th, 2013 special meeting of council be adopted as circulated. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest, that is conflicts of interest. Do any members have any conflicts of interest or pecuniary interest they need to disclose? Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a conflict dealing with item 8.1 and 9.2. And the nature thereof is that the building in question is owned by my wife.
Okay, thank you. Duly noted. Others? Can that be noted in the minutes? There were no other conflicts. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation of the branding initiative, Chimpanzee Evolved Thinking. Please give us your presentation regarding the town's branding. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Council, for inviting us here this evening. So first of all, I know your packages were received very late, and that is because we were still speaking to your community on Thursday evening. So Friday, we were still plugging in the results, and we were able to deliver packages today. So thank you for your patience, and we appreciate that it was a little bit of a tight timeline for those of you to review the package. What we're going to do today, my name is Diane Wright, and I am one of the partners and owners of Chimpanzee. And this is Phil Kerwin, who heads up the creative development. And we're going to take you through the process that we've gone through and the community engagement process, and which led to these three concepts and designs. And then we'll give you the results of the community engagement survey and some recommendations we have. Also with us this evening is Jenny Helinda, who born and raised in Font Hill off Pancake Lane, and she actually is one of the head designers and creatives in this process. So we thought it would be great to have Jenny here as well to help with any questions you may have on the evolution and the concepts. What I'm going to do, just to give you a little bit of background, because you'll see a lot of the survey results that you had in your package, just to give you an idea, we were retained in the month of March of this year, and we started some community engagement via an online survey. It was promoted in a few of the different newspapers locally, and that was in the month of April 12th to 28th. We ran an online survey forum for anyone in the community, businesses, residents, Niagara Region residents, anyone who saw the URL and wanted to communicate. At the same time, as we progressed forward, we had a branding session with the Communications Committee at the town of Pelham, and that was on May 3rd. And you'll see as we go through the document that we're giving you the results, and really just highlights and excerpts. We have a lot more material, but tried to keep it very top line. We had our first round of logo creation and development on May 9th. We then had some initial feedback, went back to the table, and had a second round May 16th. And then we had a further development meeting on May 21st. We then, as a result of the initial online community survey back in April, there were 21 people that volunteered their names and their time to come back, and they offered to complete a more in-depth survey and participate with more feedback. And this was sent out to 21 people the week of June 14th, and we had 13 responses back from the 21 who volunteered. That led us to set up a booth at the Farmers Market and Bandshell Night last Thursday. So we had a team of 8 chimps running around the town of Pelham, speaking to anyone and everyone who would speak to us, and we were pleasantly surprised. We thought we might get about 150 responses, but we had in excess of 270? 251. So we had a great response that night, and of all ages, from the under 5s to the over 95s. So it was a magical evening of everyone participating. The reason we're here this evening, we appreciate the timing, is the intention with the execution of both the brand and the website was to platform, and it's nice to see Kathy here, she's Summerfest's greatest cheerleader from last year, is we were hoping to preview and soft launch the brand in phase 1 of the web using Summerfest. It's a great community event, perfect platform, and the audience that was very engaged the entire way. It's a great celebration to say, thank you for your involvement and contributions, and this is the evolution that came from it. So we'll take you now through the survey, and my eyesight is terrible, so hopefully your packages are a little bit clearer for you. We just wanted to go through the very top level. With regards to the community engagement, the online survey, we had 109 responses. 67, well, close to 68% were female, and 32 were male. That does give you an idea that women do like to share their opinions more, and that will carry through the whole way. Most, 72.2, were residents of the town of Pelham, and 84 were Niagara Region residents. And this was just a voluntary out there online. So some of the highlights that came from this was they felt that caring and vibrant were the most important elements in the town's logo and wanted to translate that. Creative was less important to them. Things that people generally loved about the town of Pelham was the outdoor life, park, green spaces, the small town feel, the friendly people, and everything in close proximity, as well as community events. Events and arts and culture was very important. When it came to iconic symbols, and this is a challenging one, there were lots of different ideas thrown around, the comfort maple, the flagpole, the view from Lookout Point, many things were iconic, but was there one thing that truly represented what the town of Pelham is? And you'll notice here, and although the graph depicts the comfort maple, the view from Lookout Point, Short Hills Provincial Park, the Font Hill Bandshell, and then tender fruit farming and Niagara's culture scene sort of came in at equal weight in there. But what was also interesting was that, and if it was graphed, 16 respondents skipped the question. So that really ties for second place. The people didn't necessarily feel there was something incredibly iconic either. So that set the platform. So the very open-ended question set the platform for our 2-hour in-depth session with Town of Pelham staff. And we had a great session at the fire hall where the communications committee kindly gave a lot of their time, and that's really what helped to develop the color palette in the next stages, which shaped the initial round of creative. So going into that, we had 8 people that were engaged over 2 hours. General comments is that Pelham is the center of the Niagara region. It's the heart, the highest point, the town on top of the hill. Beautiful landscape, rolling hills. It's quaint. One comment was, please, not the tree. You'll see in here you've got the good, the bad, and the ugly. We didn't flatter ourselves in any way or edit. There's a lot of the unsavory and the savory. Pelham is somewhere to raise your children. It's sophisticated and elite. There's exclusivity. We want to be different from the rest of the region. There is a link to economic development, innovative and creative, and we want to attract this type of business that complements the town of Pelham. Promote a quality of life. Pelham is better. It's forward thinking. There's a small town feel and a cultural vibe. There's a sense of community and a sense of place. The idea behind this process is keeping the integrity of historical heritage and finding a balance between historical and modern, like retrofitting a home. Another said, Pelham, the newest, oldest brand in Niagara. So different words used to describe the brand were stewardship, savvy, hero, lover, innocent, idealism. And you're probably thinking, wow, we let our city staffers sit for 2 hours with you telling Pelham, we were going to start with a big Pelham is for lovers shirt, but we'll see how.
That was me.
We'll see how. We'll see how Summerfield pans out.
That's perfect. Would you cut it there?
And then what we did, there were 13 people who kindly responded. Do you want to go back? Yeah. Who kindly responded as community volunteers. So there was a good age range, male-female split. And what came from this in the general feedback is, I like the fact that we are identifying our town as being part of Niagara. Kindly note, I would rate all equally as bad, but the survey won't permit me to. Whether we like it or not, we are part of the Niagara region. We're too small to ignore the connection. There's good things going on in the region outside of the town of Pelham, and there's more benefit to attach ourselves than to go it alone. I like the reference to Pelham being part of Niagara. Overall, I agree with colors chosen, and I love the approach. And one thing I will mention, it was with the city staff 2-hour session we had, where the Carolinian forest colors and the color palettes really came to life and had some meaning. So that's what was carried on consistently through the second and third round of development. Some responses with regards to, is there an iconic symbol for the town of Pelham? Some said yes, many said yes, a few said no. the hill itself, the new clock, the comfort maple, the highest point in the escarpment in the region, the Font Hill Cane, and then the plastic business signage downtown. What's nice is there was complete anonymity, so people felt very comfortable with putting whatever they liked in, so that was useful, I'm sure, for many. When they talked about what this group, who is very actively engaged, feels is the most important element, caring again edged ahead of vibrant, and creative didn't even make the cut for this group. And again, small group, but very active volunteers. With regards to the ranking of the concepts, concept 1 and 2 were very close in line. Concept 2 being the comfort maple, slightly edged ahead of concept 1, which is the circle, the view from the top. And then concept 3 still scored well with this group, which was interesting. Just to give you some feedback, and I know that you've all had the packages, so you've seen sort of the way these came together, but we'll talk about it a little bit if you've got some questions. Positive feedback for concept 1, and this is the one, these two really were the two that took the lead the whole time, which was really interesting because the first time we presented the concepts, and we've had dozens of variations of each, and these were the ones that made the final sort of solid cut to go out to the public. And this one initially led within city staff preferences, and also within our preferences too. We felt it was engaging, it was vibrant, it used the map and so forth, but when we actually went out to the public with it, they found it too edgy, too modern. Although they liked the concept, they felt a little bit uncomfortable with how modern the direction it was taking. So these two scored very well, 50-50 with regards to internal town voting, and with regards to the public voting, this one edged ahead by maybe 10 or 15 votes. I'd have to look at exact numbers, but so very, very close with Thursday night. And a lot of the reason is the comfort around the comfort maple. People, I see a tree, I recognize it, that makes me feel good that it's not something I don't understand. But when people looked at this and looked at it longer or came back to it, they'd say, hey, can I change my vote? Because I think I like where this one's going. So just to give you some of the feedback that came to us. The circle is more harmonious and flowing. It represents strength, superiority, and unity. I think it's clean, no sharp edges. The circle shows unity. These are all different comments coming through. It's easy on the eye, but still abstract. One described it to be lookout and shown the overlay. I understood the concept, but to me it looked like a path leading somewhere. On the constructive side, tough to understand without the photo, the descriptions, and everything behind it. Another said not really unique, and the symbol makes sense when shown or described, but without the photo it lacks meaning to people. Concept 2, which was the front runner by a Pip, was I love the comfort maple being part of the logo as well as other features. The tree is obvious and the rest is a simple explanation. It draws the identity into focus for the town. And then on the constructive side, it reminds me of the escarpment but ditch the tree. Do not like this logo at all, even though the comfort maple is somewhat visible. The comfort maple will die eventually, the logo will not last. So concept 3, I'll tell you a little bit about, but I won't spend a lot of time depending on where people want to go. The idea was about communities and villages coming together. It's abstract and modern, and it's different from what has been done in the past. It's different from what's been done in the region. We took very much to heart the feedback from the initial survey and from this town's focus group that you want to differentiate yourselves. You want the tagline to come to life, and you want to be unified but distinct. So it's very interesting too, from reviewing the surveys, people were very much, I'm from Effingham, I'm from North Pelham, I'm from Font Hill. Those in Font Hill were very much, well, Canada Post only recognizes Font Hill, so let's just go with Font Hill as a logo. So it was a really interesting way to ensure that with the broad spectrum of community engagement, that we recognize the unique features of all 5 communities that make up the whole. And that's why, for us, we felt very strongly with the map and the circle that there was always an element of 5. There was strength in the mapping, there was strength in the circle, that each piece could be part of a unique community.
It's not included now.
The third concept, it represents Pelham in a very modern light. It is very much leaning towards the arts and culture community, but perhaps, again, a little bit vibrant. And as concept 3's comments were, not fond of this concept, still good, but too edgy. very abstract, I like it. So it's also interesting to note, depending on what survey level we were taking, the majority of respondents who were responding to the tree came in the bracket of 50 to 59 and 60 plus. The majority of respondents that were warming to this were in the age bracket of, bear with me, I apologize. I promise this question time soon. 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49. So they were very caught up here. And what's really interesting about this is we had the 30 to 39 and 60 plus who did like it. Really
And the
interesting.
skateboard track.
And the skateboard, and we had a lot of students at Bandshell Night that love that, and I'm like, bored. So it was great. As I said, we had a chance to speak to multi-generations that were there. We had a grandchild, a daughter, and a grandmother there, and it was really interesting to see what they'd all choose. So it was great. So the inspiration for the color palette that was pretty much embraced by everyone, I think it's been well embraced, is the Carolinian forest, the vibrant seasonal colors, the golf course landscape, fruit orchards and vineyards. When, I know in previous work we did submit a document that had all of the Niagara Region's municipalities on there, and 80% of them are blue and green. There's very little color, with the exception of a few that might incorporate a maple leaf, but standard color schemes are blue and green. So we wanted to get away from that. We want to use vibrant. Okay, so, yeah, we'll skip through these unless you'd like us to go into,
I think a lot of this is already in your pack, and I think most of you have voted on this already, so we can skip through these.
these are just the explanations that do tell you. If you go to the next page, they're probably more interesting. So then you see the concept behind. So there is meaning for each. I know often people say, hey, these crazy designers want to do whatever they want and give them some colors, but a lot of thought, a lot of time was spent in speaking to the community and speaking to staff, and also we're fortunate to have 2 residents and former residents working on our team, so they're very familiar and near and dear. So this one relates to the highest point, and as we learned some new things about the Fonthill Came on last week, we were very fortunate to be able to look and see if it still works and relates, and it does indeed. Mayor Dave, thank you for that geology lesson. And then also the downtown arches, which is really interesting. A lot of very positive feedback about incorporating them. However, there was still concern, will they be there, won't they? But they loved the look that it was there. And then really it comes down to landscape, nature, the view, being at the top of the region, the center of the region. It was never in our intention that this relates only to golf or golf clubs or a specific place, but that certainly did come out in the survey. And then we'll go into the background of the tree. So this one actually was developed very last minute as a third concept, because all along the way the feedback was not the tree, not the comfort maple, but in the end people's levels of comfort with what had been developed. Let's give them something that they can immediately have a relation to. And this is where the tree came into place. So still using the Fonthill Came, still using the escarpment, stepping up, progressing forward with regards to economic development, and then the inclusion of the tree to give people an immediate identifier. And then lastly, we've already talked about a little bit, you'll see how the town was traced, shaped, a little bit of creative latitude. It's about positive economic growth, the highest point, trails, roots, heritage, and again, using the forest. So that gave you and then here's the general respondent. So you'll see we're very, very tight with public engagement, 100 sitting at the view from the top, and 116 sitting at the Comfort Maple, and 47 at the Modern Lab. Again, age break is, or you'll see the age break, you've got 41% at 60 plus, and then really to add the 20 to 49 market, you're looking at 25, about just over 45% there too. So it was very interesting to see the different responses there.
Okay.
And again, just some additional survey results to show you how close things were with the public results, with the staff results, was right on par, 17 and 17 who did respond. And then for those who chose not to respond to anything else in the survey, but just put a number down for something they like, that's where the Comfort Maple did edge ahead. Okay, so one thing we wanted to just, as your agency making some recommendations, is just to run through our own recommendations, and then we're complete on our presentation, we'll open up for questions, is our recommendation, and this goes back to very different surveying approach and letting people just talk to us constantly, feel comfortable. You would be amazed as soon as it was in an article that the chimps were awarded this job, the number of people that picked up the phone to tell us their thoughts on how it should be branded. So we're very pleased that we had a very open door policy. It was very encouraged by the team that we're working with at the town of Pelham, so it allowed a lot of public engagement, which was fantastic to help us with the design process. The reason we're leaning away from the tree and our recommendation doesn't support that the slight increase is the tree doesn't represent the entirety of the community or the vision that was expressed in the initial surveying and focus groups. We also look at things, it's an individual, it will live, it will die, it's a tree, it's standing alone. It doesn't represent, if you were a singular community without all the outlying features, it doesn't represent the 5 communities coming together in strength. Though we did try to create that with the escarpment and with the pieces behind it. So we tried to tie it in. But what's different about that is it's really only the tree people see. So we were conscious that it doesn't necessarily best represent the vision and creative direction that was guided by the community interaction, though understandably it's visually pleasing because of the high recognition level and simplicity. Our choice, if we were to make a professional recommendation, is the view from the top we feel best captures the true essence of Pelham. With the wholeness and unity, it draws on Pelham's strong sense of community, embodies the vibrant, creative, and caring values while incorporating geography and landscape for the town of Pelham. It's modern, it's clean, and the other thing we look at is we look at your positioning within the region, within the province, nationally, internationally. How will people actually view when this stands alone? For us, when we look at this, it potentially could be just a Parks and Rec logo, or it could be more national forestry and so forth, because the tree really does lean you in one direction, where this it does cause some interpretation requirements. So depending on how you're positioning yourself, it does give a more professional and slightly more corporate look while still embodying the caring and the creative component. The logo translates nicely across all applications. We've done lots of tests with all of these. We've shrunk them down super tiny. We've made them super big, black and white and so forth. And it does translate very well. As you'll see the black and white versions along the top. That gives you an idea of how that will also work. Based on public engagement, many people related to this logo, and it was the only logo that people took in a whole other direction and took ownership. You'll see how we developed it as an agency, but other people were saying, oh, I see the trails, it's leading somewhere, there's a path, that's Short Hills, or so people were making their own interpretations already and taking the story somewhere else. So we were thrilled by that they found that there was a connection to that. And thank you all for your time and listening to me rather.
Thank you very much for your presentation, appreciate it, and now councillors may have some questions for you. Councillor King, are you signaling a question?
No questions.
No questions?
I'm excited.
You're excited? Very good.
I'm excited, you're excited, because we're excited.
So your recommendation is this logo?
Is this one? Yeah.
No questions? Okay, I have some questions. You said at the beginning that, and they're very short questions, but you said at the beginning that we wanted, the things that people wanted to see, what is this question here? Please indicate the top 3 things you love about the town of Pelham. The top ones are small town feel, outdoor life / park / green spaces, friendly people, and community events, I think are the top ones.
Yes.
So would you say that this logo then embodies that?
I think I mean, the guiding factor for us was the initial I guess, mission statement, or how you want to say your positioning statement.
The vision statement?
Vibrant, creative,
and caring.
and caring. The problem, I mean, outside of Pelham, the problem that a lot of municipalities in Niagara have is very parochial. And I think for us, with a town made up of 5 villages, we needed to have that unity. We needed to have it all come together, so that it's everyone in this town is singing from the same sheet. So that's where the ring and the circle came in, and obviously bringing in elements that refer to land, refer to farming, refer to the highest point in Niagara. And I think it just centers on that and holds it all in that circle, and that for us was a key thing.
It can't be everything, but what it does embody. So if we look at small town feel, the idea is that it is condensed and it's together. It's not in here, although visually, I love this. I think it's so creative and different. But people were a little bit nervous. It was very edgy and spread out. So this gives still 5 elements of the community, but it's warm, it's a circle. So that takes care of the small town feel. With regards to the outdoor parks and green spaces, we were inspired by the natural landscape, and that ticks that box. With regards to amenities and close proximity, that was up there with community and activities. It also keeps things tight and centered within a focused circle. With regards to people, now we didn't show you some of the ad concepts we've done with all the different treatments. People you can't represent in a logo. You hopefully will create emotional connection, which is why the other reason which we lean towards this one, regardless of it's 11-3, that got blown out of the water, people had a connection, were making their own connections. And that, upon first glance, to me, just said, wow, you're going in a whole other direction and you're feeling a relationship to it. But with regards to the ads, that's where we'll have the people, the band shell, the market, people hiking, people enjoying everything that logo embodies, but you actually visually see it through photography. And I know Anna's already been working hard with local photographers to build the image library that will help us represent this. So it does nail, I'd say, 4 of the core.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for members of council? Are we ready for the questions? All right, it's been moved by Councillor Kersey, seconded by Councillor Ribbiak, that the information presented by Chimpanzee Evolved Thinking regarding the Town of Pelham corporate branding strategy be received, and the agency's recommendation, Concept 1, view from the TOP, be approved and adopted as it represents wholeness and unity, draws on Pelham's strong sense of community, and accurately embodies the vibrant, creative, and caring values of the Town of Pelham. Discussion? There being none, look at that. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried unanimously.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all your work.
Website
Oh,
now.
great. So
That's
just
exciting.
give us a
Thank
quick,
you.
quick timing on that.
Website, we're looking to go soft launch for Summerfest, which is obviously 18th to 20th of July.
That's
So
where we're hoping to, with all the beautiful screens, unveil the branding. We've started some preliminary launch, how we're going to launch to the public from collateral and materials and support, and soft launch for Summerfest. It's a go.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you, on behalf of council, I appreciate your work and your interactions with staff, and more importantly, with the community. I thought it was a great idea. You were out here on Thursday night and interacting, and it was very vibrant and creative and caring as well event. So thank you for doing that and bringing the recommendation forward. Look forward
Thank you
to
all for,
seeing great response with the website as well. So thank you.
all for allowing us the time to come tonight.
Thanks.
All right,
we
thank you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Where do we get our pins? I don't know why I didn't get that
So
presentation.
the next item is supposed to be, and I see some members of the community here, and I really appreciate them making time to be here, is supposed to be the creative problem-solving process regarding economic development. I'm going to call on you, Mr. CAO, to just comment. I thought we had, thank you very much. We'd anticipated that there would be participants from the PBA, the Chamber, the region, and some others are here as well, the workforce, Niagara Workforce Planning and community benchmarks. Can you comment?
I do see that there's representation from the region, from economic development, and some members of the PBA/Chamber. I'm not sure what hat they're wearing. Unfortunately, there was an expectation of about 14 to 15 individuals being involved tonight in this exercise from a wide variety of community interests. So I'm not sure where everyone is unless they're at home watching
The hockey game?
the Blackhawks and the Bruins play. I'm not sure. My comment to council, or my recommendation to council, would be that perhaps we may want to postpone the exercise because, as Min would say, we need enough of the right people in the room, and I don't think that we'll get the result we need without full participation of that of the dynamic that we've asked to participate. So that would be my suggestion for council.
Okay, thank you, Mr. CEO. Council, do you agree with that recommendation? Folks that are here, we don't have any representatives from the chamber. We were hoping to get other representatives and more from the PBA. And we were expecting 4, I think, PBA and chamber. We're expecting 4, I think, from each.
There's only Mr. McAvoy and myself from the PBA attending this evening.
And Kathy, right?
And Kathy, sorry, yes.
We don't have agriculture.
Oh, 3 from each? Okay. And we don't have anybody, well, Kathy's representing the chamber, but you know anything?
A member of the chamber.
Yeah.
I don't see anyone else.
Yeah. So, colleagues, are we okay with a postponement? Councilor Ribbiak?
I think so. I'm frankly a little uncomfortable about proceeding without a greater weight, if you will, of people from outside of council in this building than in it, because this is something I think that's going to require that kind of feedback. I'm sure we would get it right, but there's a chance we might not. That's not a chance I'm willing to take.
Okay. All right, others, are we?
Question here, or-
Sure, go ahead, Kathy.
No, because we didn't really understand what the format of the meeting was going, totally came in unprepared and didn't realize,
Yeah.
are we gonna be working directly with council, or this is supposed to be a breakout session later, or?
What, yeah, so I'll answer that. So we had to do that formal part because we had to get it ready for the website, et cetera. We were going to break out, leave our spots up here, come down there, and do the creative problem-solving process and run through the first 5 steps, I think, or 3 steps of the creative problem-solving process, and really talk about that question about economic development. So,
Is there any way perhaps we could have some questionnaires before we come in, like how they approach the branding, I thought was, the way that, they pulled some questions in advance so that we had something to work with.
yeah. Mr. CEO, I think we can adapt the process to do that, and I see Dave Alexander has his hand up, but what we can do is we can ask folks to maybe part of the fact-finding. So the process for creative problem-solving involves what they call the fuzzy situation. What is the situation? And maybe that is identifying the economic development initiative challenges for the town of Pelham. That's our fuzzy situation. And then we need some facts about that. And so that can be some of the items that people can come forward with. Mr. CEO, can you just comment on that?
I think that it would be valuable to do that, and I think that we certainly could go back and, as part of the re-invitation, include some sort of preparatory work for folks, so they come with some information and they're prepared, so that's not a problem at all.
Okay. Dave?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate you breaking with decorum and running your meeting. We prepared a couple of pages on an economic profile of.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yep.
Next week, so should I just provide it to the clerk, or?
I think it'd be, yeah, all of council, I'm sure, and everybody here would be very, very interested in that. And then that will form a basis of some of the facts that we have regarding what our community looks like. So that's great. Thank you very much, Dave. Really appreciate you doing that. It kind of, we had a meeting last week, and I said, geez, we really need you here, Dave, and he's done some work. So thank you for that. That's excellent. Really appreciate that. So we will circulate that and also circulate kind of a little bit of a questionnaire to get folks thinking about it and schedule a time that, now it's going to be hard to get folks together, but we will try and do that at a time that everybody that's here can make and a time that those others representing the chamber can make as well. Okay?
Yep.
Yes, please.
Dave, on behalf of the region, Susan Kaidy from the region.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
No problem. Be more than happy to actually supply council as well with a PDF, I'll do it electronically.
Perfect.
Of the regional economic development growth strategy.
Mhm.
So there's a little bit of a touch base on where we are regionally. And then there's some documents that we prepared on Pelham as well, similar to Dave's. And why don't I just send them to you and you can send them out?
That's excellent.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And that will really help form the basis of that. And then we can pull out of that, part of the exercise with the creative problem-solving process is that you identify what the facts are, and then you identify what the key facts are. So maybe that's one of the elements that we can jump to in as we, when we meet. We can say, okay, out of all the documentation that we received, what are the key facts that you think that we really need to focus on as we develop some sort of strategy or framework for economic development? So that's excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Any other comments from other participants? I'm sorry, we just feel that it's better use of time to get as many involved as possible in it. And I know that some of you made special arrangements, come back from various locations and other things to be here. But I think we're going to proceed in that fashion. So maybe we'll take a brief recess. I think we should get sort of availability of
We'll do
people.
a doodle poll.
A doodle poll?
Mhm.
Okay. Mr. Cia, just comment on that.
Mr. Mayor, we'll send out an invitation to the participants that we had invited and those tonight. And we'll include a doodle poll, which will help narrow down a date and time, and then we'll coordinate that and let everyone know what the date will be when we come back.
Okay, is everybody okay with that? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your flexibility and appreciate your willingness to participate. And I'm sorry we're not proceeding now, as well as staff. We kind of ramped up staff as well to be here, so thank you very much for that. Let's take a brief recess, and because I want to shake everybody's hand and thank them for coming. Okay, 5-minute recess.
No problem.
Thank you.
You're still saying that it's not stable.
You, okay, now go to, when you're here, choosing your connection, choose top guest instead.
Thank you for that.
It's a debate.
We're now,
It's a debate.
we're now reconvening. I think it was important to have that recess. And again, thanks very much to those community-minded individuals who are willing to give up their evening to be here to assist us with economic development. We'll reschedule as soon as possible. I do want to say that it's kind of one of the benefits of it. I think we hopefully can leapfrog some of the information because the three folks that are, Dave dealing with information and our friend from the region and Paul kind of had a little bit of a discussion afterwards and said, oh, well, let's talk. And so they're going to talk offline and be able to analyze maybe some of the information that will get us to a step further along the path. So it's very, very helpful to do that. So again, thanks to all those that were here. The next item is item 8.1. I believe, is that correct?
You're going to deal with both items at the same time, Mr. Mayor?
I have split the bylaws, so we could do this one next.
Yes, we will. So thank you very much. The next item has been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. The council approved the grant application for CIP funding for 1440 Pelham Street and direct staff to execute the required documents based on the following conditions. 1, the applicant must sign and return the grant application so that it may be executed. 2, step 4 is outlined in the community improvement plan. Works of November 2009 be provided to and understood by the applicant. Number 3, a revised set of drawings, elevation, and section be submitted, noting the correct elevations on the drawing scale, name of the designer, architect, and date and location. And 4, the color and material schedule with samples of proposed facade improvements be provided to staff as soon as possible for review. Discussion on any of those items? Councillor Ribbiak?
Just a question for clarification, and that's all. And that is, who is John Tassiopoulos, and how does he fit into this process?
Mr. CAO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To answer the councillor's question, John Tassiopoulos is a designer and planner with the Planning Partnership. Going back when this process was first adopted by council, we had no experience in processing CIP applications, so it was deferred to the Planning Partnership for their assistance. So they're the ones that have been doing the technical work on the applications, this one and others, and making the recommendation back to staff so that we can move the issue forward.
So in effect, this would be a staff report, except that we didn't have the experience, so.
Mr. CAO?
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Good, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Other questions, Councillor Durley?
Thank you, Mr.
Comments?
Mayor. I got one question that really jumps out at me. It's my understanding that this request or this application has been, if not presented, but considered for a long, long time. I'm wondering why it's taking so long. I believe it was first introduced months ago, and then all of a sudden it's coming now, and it's coming through with some conditions. Now I'm wondering, was it incomplete when it first came in, or is there another snag? Is there something wrong with our policy and procedure? And if that's the case, I don't want to enter that discussion tonight. However, if there is a problem with the policy as it sits, we better fix that, because this is stopping us. Or is it something else? I'm
Okay.
just curious.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor, for the question. Mr. CAO?
To respond, Mr. Mayor, the councillor is absolutely correct. It was a process that I believe started in December. And is now just coming to council. Quite frankly, that's far too long of a period of time. I'm not going to get into the details of why, because I don't believe that's productive, and it certainly depends on who you talk to. But moving forward, the CIP grant application, a couple things in my opinion we need to do is we don't need to rely on the external consultants to do the work. I think we're capable, especially now that we're moving into a position with some expertise that will allow us to do that. Number 2, the process, in my opinion, is complicated and confusing for applicants who don't have a background in planning or architecture. It needs to be made simple. And number 3, we need a streamlined process so that, again, we put a, provided that the documents are complete as to what the, coming in, what the expectation is that we turn those around in a very reasonable amount of time. And those 3 things will be something that I'll be working on directly in the next coming months.
Okay, thank you, Councillor.
Further, I can see a perhaps a template or something to say That's filling in the blanks, every blank must be filled in, and that'll make it a hell of a lot easier for staff and for public. That's great.
Mr. Mayor, I agree that, what's so difficult about a checklist? Here's what you need to have included in your application, and if those things are all there, when it's received, then we in turn will turn that application around in a expedient amount of time and get the answers to the people that are applying, and also in a way that they understand and in a way that's easy to do, not difficult.
I look forward to that, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to just piggyback on this for a second because Mr. CEO, the counselor did ask about the conditions. Can you just speak to the conditions? That's all right, counselor?
Yep.
You did ask about that.
The conditions, Mr. Mayor, the applicant must sign and return the grant application. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think that the step 4 is outlined in the CIP document of 2009. It's pretty straightforward. There is some discussion that I will need to have with the applicant with regards to the drawing and elevations. I believe that we may already have that, so that condition may have been met, although I do need to confirm that.
Okay.
And I believe that the color and material schedules is something that the applicant is more than prepared to provide. So I don't see any issues with those recommendations.
Okay, well, I'm pleased to hear that. I see that we have just sketches in front of us, and realize that's probably why we had number 3, but if you're saying we already have that, that's good, and then the applicant can then proceed.
That's correct.
Good, thank you. Councilor Ribbiak?
Thank you. With regard to the grant, again, for clarification, front facade and storefront improvement, the maximum grant permitted per property project is $12,500. And then there's the side and rear facade and storefront improvement. Am I to understand that an additional $7,500 is granted per side?
No, total. Mr. CEO.
Total.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, yeah, total for the sides is 7,500 and the front facade is 12,500.
And I think, if I might add, it's also where the side end or rear facades are highly visible.
Right. So this request ultimately is for a $20,000 grant.
Right, yes, that's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Others?
No, I'm good.
Just a question on the where highly visible. Is that why the front section is in the sketches that we have is included, and maybe not the back section of the one side, for instance?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Others? I like the drawings. I look forward to this occurring. This is now a few buildings that have been done, another very significant structure, and if we can move, I'm very pleased to see this coming forward, and if it can be, I understand the applicant wants to move quickly on this, which is great, so those works can be undertaken quickly. We can see the transformation quickly. We had another, some images, and maybe I should share them with council, of another facade that was done that council supported. And the transformation is amazing. So I look forward to this transformation and continued revitalization of our downtown here in Fawn Hill. And also look forward to other applicants coming forward in the other downtown that's covered by the community improvement plan, which is Fenwick. So I'm ready to call the question if council is prepared, and I'm going to do that now. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. And as was suggested, we'll just change the order of the agenda. We'll do the bylaw now. So because of the councillor's conflict, so it has been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, seconded by Councillor Durley, that leave now be given to introduce the following bylaw and dispense with the reading of the bylaw, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into a commercial building facade improvement grant agreement with 744530 Ontario Inc. for the property known municipally as 1440 Pelham Street. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. And it's been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, seconded by Councillor Durley, that the following bylaw have been considered a first time, be numbered as follows: bylaw 3394 2013 be now considered a second and third time and passed, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of council to the contrary notwithstanding. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you.
I'll go get Gary.
Our councillor can return. Thank you, councillor.
Just seeing if he was listening. Hey, Gary, come on back in.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor Kersey. It's been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Ribbiak, that leave now be given to introduce the following bylaw and dispense with the reading of the bylaw, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter into agreement with Lorna Marie Rogers, Robert James Rogers, and Carrie Rogers, and to repeal and replace bylaw 3371, 2013. Any discussion on this? I think the clerk outlined in the report that it's to add the additional name, so it's more a clerical item. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And it's moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Ribbiak, that the following bylaw have been considered first time, be numbered as follows: bylaw 3393, 2013, and be now considered a second and third time and passed, and the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of council to the contrary notwithstanding. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. The next item has been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, seconded by Councillor Durley. The next portion of the meeting be closed to the public in order to consider the following matters under the Municipal Act 2001 as outlined below. 1. Item under Municipal Act Section 239(2)D, Labor Relations or Employee Negotiations. 1 item. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. We'll now move into closed session. Okay, so it has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Durley, that council adjourn the in-camera session and that council do now rise without report. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. It's been moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King, that leave now be given to introduce the following bylaw and dispense with the reading of the bylaw, being a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the actions of council at a special meeting held on the 24th day of June, 2013. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor King. The following bylaw have been considered first time, be numbered as follows: bylaw 3395, 2013, be now considered a second and third time and passed. The mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of council to the contrary notwithstanding. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. It's been moved by Councillor Kersey, seconded by Councillor Ribbiak, that this regular meeting of council be adjourned until the next regular meeting scheduled for Monday, July 15th, 2013, unless sooner called by the mayor. Just a note on this, you're going to be doing a doodle poll. Do you anticipate it's going to be between now and the 15th of July?
I'm hoping to have
hoping-
it before then. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
All right, we look forward to that.
Yeah.
Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.